you, Dr. Chasson again, and thank you, Dean. So, it brings me a great honor and pleasure to welcome Dr. Jingle to our Ecological Integrated Symposium. Dr. Wu is the Dean's Distinguished Professor of Landscape Ecology and Sustainability Science with the School of Life Science and Global Institute of Sustainability at the University of Arizona State. He received his bachelor's degree in biology from Inner Mongolia University and master and PhD in ecology from the Miami University in Ohio. He was a National Science Foundation postdoctoral fellow at Cornell University and Princeton University, working with Dr. Simon Levy. His research spans landscape ecology, biodiversity, and ecosystem functioning, urban ecology, and sustainability science. He has published 14 books, 5 journal special issues, and 292 peer-reviewed journal articles and book chapters. He has been a PI and leadership team member for the Central Arizona Phoenix Long-Term Ecological Research Project since its inception in 1997. And a founding faculty member of the Global Institute of Sustainability and School of Sustainability of Arizona State University. He has served as the editor-in-chief of Landscape Ecology Journal since 2005 and editorial board member for many other journals such as Ecological Economics, Frontiers in Energy, Landscape and Ecological Engineering, Acta Ecologica Cívica, Chinese Journal of Applied Ecology, and Biodiversity Science. He has received many awards and honors, including the elected American Association for the Advancement of Science and Development, Leopold Leadership Fellow, the Award for International Scientific Cooperation from American Association for the Advancement of Science, the Distinguished Landscape Ecologist Award, the Outstanding Scientific Achievement Award, the Distinguished Service Award from International Association of Landscape Ecology, and the Outstanding International Scientific and Technological Cooperation Award from the Government of Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. Most of us at the Ecological Integrated Symposium are really concerned with the unprecedented changes in our environment from landscape to global scale, and the sustainability of our civilization and Earth. We look forward to hear Dr. Wu's talk about the landscape sustainability science, part of them linking biodiversity, ecosystem function, ecosystem service, and human well-being. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Jianguo.
Thank you. Let me thank the organizing committee for inviting me to this wonderful symposium. I was here 18 years ago at the very first symposium. I was here 2 years ago giving a talk on spatial scale. This is my third time. And it's an honor to be here, to be with wonderful speakers before me. And I'd like to thank the previous speakers for talking about biodiversity, particularly the crazy spiders and the intriguing lizards. They're all wonderful. And also talking about landscapes, my favorite subject, landscapes, restoring landscapes. Talking about resilience, sustainability, the theme of our time. They're wonderful. Not only wonderful talks, they also provided adequate background information for my talk. I would like to dedicate this talk to one of my most important mentors, Cory Lux, who was a great ecologist, who was a great human being. He was a great sustainability scientist. Today I'd like to structure my talk in 3 parts. First of all, I want to talk about why we need to link biodiversity, ecosystem processes, services and human well-being. I think previous speakers have already done that. I think I have very little to say about that. Second, how do we link biodiversity, ecosystem function, ecosystem services, and human well-being? Finally, I'd like to focus on a few examples of landscape sustainability science paradigm I call action. First of all, why do we need to link these different things? As ecologists, we have been doing a lot of interesting and crazy things in the wild, in the laboratory, around the world. We love biodiversity because biodiversity is very important. It has many values, including intrinsic values. We have been studying biodiversity, ecological processes, patterns from individuals, individual organisms to the entire globe. In previous talks, we have seen wonderful examples how we can understand organisms, ecological systems from small to large, how fascinating our biological world, ecological world is and can be. Therefore, traditionally, we have divided our discipline into many different things. We call it individual level ecology, organism ecology, population ecology, community ecology, ecosystem, landscape ecology, which is my favorite field, the global ecology. According to what we call organizational levels, or hierarchical level of organization. However, if we step back to ask what we really study, the same universe, the same world, the same biosphere. So different disciplines, to me, only represent different approaches to study how nature works, how nature operates. So we do need integration. The name of this symposium series is one of ecological integration symposium. We need integration across these different hierarchical levels of organization within ecology and beyond ecology. In the next 30, 40 minutes, I would argue that's necessary, but it's not adequate. We need to integrate between natural and social sciences. We need to embrace human world as ecologists. That probably sounds pretty crazy, maybe crazier than spiders. But we are living in an anthropocene. The anthropocene is here. I think several people have already mentioned. The fact of the matter is that our world has been changing, will continue to change. The human dominance will continue. I agree with many ecological colleagues. We need to worry about the habitat for ourselves and also for many other species. So what we need to do is to translate science into actions. What we need to do as an ecologist is to go beyond ecology. The world as a whole, the biosphere as a whole, is in danger. Many people have said that, many people have written about the state of our planet. I think one common conclusion is that the planet Earth has not been on a sustainable trajectory at least since Industrial Revolution. So we need to do something about it. So to me, the theme of our time, the greatest challenge to humanity is to achieve sustainability. So sustainability is something that everybody is talking about, and we do not have alternative. The alternative would be unsustainability. I don't think anybody who is in his right mind would like that. Fortunately, sustainability now is not only the theme of our time, it's not only a buzzword, there is a science behind it. It's called sustainability science. I think one of the leaders in sustainability science, Robert Keith, and sustainability can go back to 5,000 years ago, probably. As I used to teach Chinese literature and Chinese politics many years ago. The unity of man and nature, I would consider, is the ancient philosophical root of sustainability. Robert Cage would argue, and we go back to Humboldt, where he said it's time to unite plants, animals, and geography. But in any case, sustainability is something that we all need to embrace. Sustainability science has come along, and I think most people agree that around the year 2000, sustainability science became mainstream or established. The very first paper document that used the term sustainability science was 1999. The book published by National Science Council. There's another book, 2012, called Sustainability Science and the Urban Environment. So sustainability science has been moving forward very quickly. According to a paper published in PNAS 2011, sustainability science is here and is to stay. I believe that. If you think about the history of ecology, however, or more broadly, science in general, we have studied the nature from a natural science perspective or a social science perspective. So we know a lot about our world, but our knowledge, as somebody put it, our knowledge is like knowledge of many isolated islands in a big ocean. But the ocean itself is heterogeneous. In order to solve ecological, environmental, social problems, oftentimes we need knowledge of not just islands, knowledge of islands and the ocean surrounding the island. That's what we need now. That's what sustainability science is supposed to generate. So, many people have been talking about different ways to link biodiversity, ecology, ecosystem services, and human well-being. I think the main idea here is, in the past, we, as ecologists, we know a lot. We have studied biodiversity, ecological processes. We know a lot about our natural world. Of course, we never know enough. On the other hand, I think we also know what humans need. For example, Maslow's hierarchy of human needs has been extremely influential. So we do know what are the major constituents of human well-being. So what we really need to do in terms of under the sustainability umbrella is to make the linkage. Let's go from biodiversity to human well-being. We also have heard the Millennium Ecosystem Framework published 2005. On the one hand, we have biodiversity, we have ecosystem function, producing 4 kinds of ecosystem services, supporting and regulating, provisioning, and cultural services. On the other hand, we have human well-being constituents, which I think are closely related to Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. But Maslow's hierarchy of human needs is about individual needs. On the other hand, I think in sustainability science, we need to focus on the needs of the society, human society. Individuals are important, of course. So there have been a number of publications in recent years talking about this linkage, the necessity of linking biodiversity, ecosystem function, ecosystem services, and human well-being. In the next 20 minutes, I will focus on one of the approaches that I have been advocating. I call it the landscape sustainability science paradigm. I believe that everything we have talked about, everything we can think of, almost, are happening in landscapes. Certainly we live in landscapes. Thank you very much, Robin, talked about landscapes. We have seen some beautiful landscapes, and some ugly landscapes, degrading landscapes, and natural landscapes. Here, I picked some of the most beautiful landscapes I think I have seen. Landscapes are heterogeneous in space. Landscapes are dynamic in time. And landscapes are beautiful. They can be threatening and they can be friendly. Landscapes can be highly fragmented. Landscapes can be extremely beautiful. This is where I'm from, in Mongolia grassland. Beautiful river and beautiful grassland, and also the cultural landscapes. Landscapes are cultural. Most landscapes we know surrounding us are cultural landscapes. According to the definition by Sauer 1925, cultural landscape is a landscape shaped or influenced by human activity. If you use that definition, most landscapes are cultural. So, in order to understand and improve landscape structure and functionality, then we need to understand and consider the cultural dimension, the human dimension in general. We also, as ecologists, we began to understand how landscapes, the structure, the morphology of landscapes affect human well-being, psychological well-being, physical well-being. In urban environment, in more natural environment, humans, particularly their psychological, physical well-being can be shaped and influenced in many ways by landscape structure. There are many fascinating findings have come out of the studies by social psychologists and environmental psychologists. I think landscape ecologists in particular, we need to understand those studies better. So what is landscape ecology? As a landscape ecologist, I think I have seen more than 50 or 60 different definitions. My favorite definition, of course, is mine. I think landscape ecology today, first of all, landscape ecology as a term was coined in 1939 by Karl Troll, the German regional geographer. But today, if you just look at what landscape ecologists are doing or have been doing in the past 50 years, I think landscape ecology has become a highly interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary scientific enterprise, which is focused on the dynamic relationship between spatial pattern and ecological processes or multiple scales. So landscape ecology today, as an interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary scientific enterprise, is not just to understand, but also to improve the relationship between pattern and process. So it's a science, also it's art. It's a combination of both. Because whenever you talk about management, you talk about planning, you talk about design, there is art component in it. So what are we studying as landscape ecologists today? There are several things we study. We study ecology in landscapes. We study ecology of landscapes. We also now increasingly studying the sustainability of our landscapes. How to make our urban landscapes better, more livable, more sustainable ecologically, environmentally, and socially. We study agricultural landscapes, we improve them by planning and designing. So therefore, I think modern landscape ecology has increasingly emphasized the importance of planning and design. Because without a design, without a planning, I'm talking about landscape planning, I'm talking about land use planning, I'm talking about urban planning. Without land system design planning in general, landscape ecology is going nowhere. We can talk about it, but we're not going to make any influence on the ground. Therefore, I think in the past 10 years, we have seen a dramatic increase in the number of publications focusing on landscape sustainability. We have heard from from well-known ecologists in the audience this morning, and complaining about ecology being too reductionistic. I agree with all of them. I think ecology has been dominated by reductionistic approaches for many, many years. But I am also hopeful, I'm also optimistic about ecology today and tomorrow, because we have seen a sea change of increasing emphasis on holistic and integrated approaches in ecology. I think landscape ecology is a good example. Landscape ecology was born as interdisciplinary field, and now has been increasing its emphasis on holism, on pluralism, on integration across scales, across disciplines, across perspectives. So today we have a new emerging area within the broader term of landscape ecology is called landscape sustainability science, which is a result of integrating the emerging sustainability science and landscape ecology. So that's what I'm going to emphasize in the next few minutes. What is landscape sustainability? And what is landscape sustainability science? To be brief, landscape sustainability emphasizes the dynamic interactions and try to improve that dynamic interactions between society and the landscape. So landscape sustainability research deals with interactions between humans and the environment, and deals with the coupled human-environment systems, what I call it. Some other people, the resilience people, like the term social ecological systems. I think they're the same thing. So why landscape sustainability science? We all agree that we need to make our science more relevant to society. We all agree that ecology needs to be more interdisciplinary. We all agree that sustainability science is the science of sustainable development, which is our only alternative. But how do we do that? I think many smart people have proposed different schemes, approaches. Here today, I would like to advocate a landscape sustainability science paradigm. Why is that? I talk about almost everything that is interesting happens in the landscape. The entire world will be completely urbanized, according to microdata. By 2092, 99.9% of people will be living in urban environment, urban landscapes. So we need to redesign our urban landscapes to accommodate all these people comfortably. Well, therefore, I would argue, not just me, Richard Foreman and many others, together we would argue that landscapes, regions, particular region, or you can call them regional landscapes, are a very pivotal scale or scale domain to operationalize sustainability. So what is, in other words, if we are to achieve sustainability at a global scale or local scale, we need to focus on all scales, but landscape and regional scale provides this platform for ecologists, architects, decision makers, and all work together. Because without design, without planning at the landscape regional scale, sustainability will continue to be just talk. Why is that? Because local ecosystems are too small to have environmental, social, economic components all together. The global scale is very important for many, many things, but it is too big for design and planning. So therefore, I think landscape level sustainability is very important to make a linkage between global and local sustainability. I asked Richard Foreman what landscape sustainability is. He said he wrote about it in 2008 urban regions in the book, he defined landscape sustainability as to mold the land so people and land and people both thrive long term. I think that's a wonderful definition. But to make it more operational, and we need to think about more specific terms. I would argue that we need to think about the people-environment relationship, which has been very familiar to geographers and ecologists. We also need to think about biodiversity, ecosystem function. We need to think about human welfare. Everything we do today, as a scientist or as a citizen, I think ultimately, the ultimate reason for what we do, yesterday, today, or tomorrow, has to be happiness. Well, otherwise, why? I think I read a book 2 years ago by Richard Layard, a British economist. The book is named Happiness. He claimed that he found that ultimate answer for anybody who does anything is happiness. I believe that. I use the term human welfare, which is more comprehensive than just the subjective happiness. So if we think that way, we think about landscapes, what we need to do. We need to understand biodiversity in changing landscapes. We need to understand the ecological dynamics in changing landscapes. We need to understand ecosystem services that are the basis for human well-being in changing landscapes. So if you agree with me, then we need to understand the composition, the configuration of landscapes. We need to design and plan for our landscapes. And that's all together. Everything I talk about come together in a landscape. Ought to be the subject of landscape sustainability science. So landscape sustainability can be defined as the capacity of a regional landscape that provides consistent ecosystem services in a changing landscape that will satisfy the human well-being, meet the needs of human well-being in the region and beyond. So since the publication of the paper, it has attracted a lot of attention. It seems like a lot of people are interested in landscape sustainability. Today, actually, we have already heard a couple of talks focusing on sustainability at regional and landscape levels. So the essence of landscape sustainability science is not new. It's actually based on the Millennium Ecosystem Framework, focusing on ecosystem services and human well-being. But landscape sustainability science argues that landscape composition and configuration, either it's urban landscape or agricultural landscape, the composition and configuration of a particular landscape to a large extent determines the biodiversity, ecosystem function and services in that particular landscape. And the landscape dynamics, the structure and function and dynamics are further influenced by two kinds of drivers, direct and indirect drivers. In particular, climate change, land cover change, very, very important to landscape structure and functionality. So we go from biodiversity, the ecosystem function and the ecosystem services, and then they affect different components of human well-being. We all understand that we are dealing with coupled human environment systems, therefore other important socio-economic drivers must be considered. So there have been studies already focusing on landscape sustainability, linking biodiversity or natural capital to function and services and human well-being. Here is an example from Australia, linking soil natural capital to ecosystem services and to specific components of human well-being. The landscape sustainability science is science, transdisciplinary science of landscape sustainability. It's a place-based, use-inspired, focusing on dynamic relationship between ecosystem services and the human well-being in changing landscapes. And it uses a set of approaches. They are all characterized by spatial explicitness. So remote sensing data and GIS technology, spatial analysis methods are all very important in landscape sustainability research. Experimental approaches are also important, especially on smaller scales. Multiple scale simulation approaches, simulation-based scenario analysis has to be extremely important. Planning, design tools are also very important. Indicators, sustainability indicators are also important for assessing, evaluating ongoing projects. People have asked me multiple times, what is the difference between landscape ecology and landscape sustainability science? I see them highly interrelated, but they are also different in terms of their focus. The focus of landscape ecology has been and should be, will be, ecology, biodiversity, ecological processes, ecosystem services in changing landscapes driven by socioeconomic factors. On the other hand, I think landscape sustainability science is focused on human well-being, not biodiversity, ecosystem processes. They're all important. Therefore, ecosystem services provide this very important linkage between these two fields. But you can see in terms of the questions, in terms of methods, in terms of the key variables in a model or in a project, they share a lot of things in common. Finally, I want to just quickly go through a few projects that I am leading in the United States and China to demonstrate how landscape sustainability science approach can be used in specific studies. My favorite project is my Inner Mongolia project. I've been doing research in Inner Mongolia grassland since 1978. And it's been a long time. There I find my favorite people, I find my favorite culture, I find my favorite ecosystem. So this is one of the recent projects in collaboration with colleagues here in the United States, particularly from ASU and Columbia University. This project was focused on biodiversity, the relationship between biodiversity and ecosystem function. Now we all know very well. We have seen a number of dozen field manipulative experiments around the world that we know very well. Biodiversity matters to ecosystem function. If you reduce biodiversity, your ecosystem function will decline in many ways. For example, above ground biomass, above ground primary productivity will decrease with decreasing biodiversity. Soil moisture, soil organic matters, nitrogen availability, all be affected by biodiversity. Biodiversity is very important to a number of ecological processes. Now it's very well known. These are some examples from our own study. You can see many fascinating findings. Basically, they are saying the same thing. Biodiversity is important to ecological functions, from productivity to mineralization to many other above ground and below ground processes. And the effects of biodiversity on ecological functionality or ecosystem function not always linear. Oftentimes, you have a threshold phenomenon. Think about fragmentation, habitat fragmentation. It's a typical threshold phenomenon. When you cut down your trees, in the beginning, probably you see very little change in terms of ecosystem function. But once you cut down enough trees, once the habitat loss reaches a threshold value, then you will see a collapse of ecosystem function. We have seen that repeatedly in many cases. In Inner Mongolia, I think we now understand pretty well what the biodiversity is and how ecological processes function, ecological processes operate in the grassland or on the entire Mongolia plateau. But you can see this is from a recent review we read. And historically, the Mongolia plateau had a lot of pretty beautiful grasslands. But while we have been publishing in journals and we have been publishing books, the grassland has been degraded. Just like the book by Sharon Kingston, one of my favorite books. And it's called The Evolution of American Ecology from 1890 to year 2000. She asked the question, American ecologists, or ecologists of the entire world have been publishing, have been accumulating knowledge about how nature works. At the same time, our environment has been degraded. So we have been asking the same question, why the publications or our scientific ecological knowledge of the grassland has not really played any role in terms of improving the environment or stopping the degradation of grassland. So our current project is to move beyond ecology itself. We are trying to not just understand, but also link ecosystem services to human well-being, to influence policy making. This is the conceptual approach that we are taking. So this current project is a very large project supported by Chinese Ministry of Science and Technology. We are working together in trying to apply this landscape sustainability science paradigm, integrating ecology in ecosystem services, ecosystem function, ecosystem services, and human well-being. So we have 3 sub-projects focusing on different things, but ultimately we're trying to understand how the climate, land use change will alter the landscapes of Inner Mongolia, and how this landscape changes will affect biodiversity, ecosystem function, and services, ultimately how human well-being will be affected. And finally, we want to come up with some solutions based on scenario analysis. How can we better design and plan our landscapes in order to improve human well-being and make the region more sustainable? So a lot of, quite a few approaches we are using, from field-based observations to computer modeling to scenario analysis of different kinds. I'm also leading a project in collaboration with Chinese and also American scientists in southern China, focusing on habitat fragmentation and biodiversity, also in the framework of landscape sustainability science, in order to make the entire region more sustainable. This is called the Thousand Island Lake region in Zhejiang province. It's a beautiful place, and 1,074 islands were created in 1959 because of a dam. So again here, biodiversity is extremely important. But what is more important is why do we need to study biodiversity here? How is that biodiversity related to ecosystem function, ecosystem services that are relevant for the people who live there? We also have a project in northeastern China and Russia, Far East, the armored tiger and the leopard, snow leopard. These two species are endangered, but our study has revealed that these two species actually are coming back in terms of their population size, but they desperately need more habitat. Habitat loss has been one of the major factors that limited these two species. China used to be the center of their distribution. In recent years, they seem to come back to China, but we need regional sustainability. We need national biodiversity reserve to accommodate the increasing population. So based on landscape sustainability science paradigm, we need to understand biodiversity. We also need to link biodiversity to ecosystem services that are important not only to the two regions, but also to the two nations. So we have proposed to establish by national biodiversity reserve, and based on sustainability principles, not just biodiversity, conservation principles, but also we have to consider the economic and social dimensions of the region. And close to Phoenix, actually this is project in Phoenix, close here, and this is one of the long-term ecological research projects in urban ecology I have been part of since 1997. So in urban environment, urban landscapes are probably most dramatically influenced by human activities. It's very important to understand biodiversity, how biodiversity, ecosystem function and services are related in urban environments in order to improve human well-being. So we have been doing quite a few things in terms of quantifying landscape changes and assessing how landscape changes will affect biodiversity, plant biodiversity, bird biodiversity, and other aspects of biological diversity, and how the impacts of urbanization ultimately affect human well-being, different components of human well-being. Essentially, I think we argue that, especially for urban landscapes, we need to evolve planning and design. So not just understanding how biodiversity, ecosystem processes, ecosystem services operate in urban environment. It's important. It's important to understand. But I think we have to come up with these design and planning scenarios for decision makers to use. So I think, as I mentioned, that our world is rapidly urbanizing, continue to do so. So we have to, I think, year 2000, I've said this, landscape ecology or landscape research in general has to embrace urbanization, has to consider urbanization. Urban sustainability definitely is a very important part of landscape sustainability science. If we think about urban landscapes, the composition is important. The configuration, the spatial arrangement of elements in an urban landscape also very important. Depending on where you are in an urban landscape, you can feel insecure, you can feel relaxed, you can feel annoyed. So I think the composition and the configuration of urban landscape are very, very important to sustainability. So in the past few years, I have worked with one of the greatest ecologists, greatest landscape ecologists and urban ecologists, Richard Foreman. So we talk about the possibilities and approaches to make our landscape more sustainable. So in this article, and more specifically in this book chapter, they proposed a number of principles. And the main idea here is, I think, in terms of planning and design, we have focused on single scales, we have focused on small scales, we have not been able to really focus on regional landscape scales that can actually provide this platform for ecologists, architects, planners, decision makers to work together. So that's what we need to do to achieve that goal. I think landscape sustainability designs provides some of these theoretical, conceptual basis and also practical guides. So again, I come back to this schematic representation of landscape sustainability design. There are many variables, there are many aspects that are difficult to understand, and the problems of landscape sustainability or sustainability in general are wicked problems. Wicked problems will never have an ultimate solution, but that does not mean we cannot understand them. That does not mean we cannot predict the outcome of a wicked system. But that does not mean we cannot deal with them. So I cite, I love the quote by Meadows. She basically said, all interesting systems tend to be complex. We cannot predict the outcome of complex systems, but we can dance with them. I believe that. And also, I think many people have said that our ecological systems or complex systems are imprecise. And that's not a problem, because I believe that being precise is not being accurate. In sustainability, particularly in landscape ecology and landscape sustainability science, what we need is not to be precise, it's to be accurate. Thank you very much. Well, in that diagram actually I showed you, there are, just like in the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment, and you see the multiple scale, global scale, and local scale. So, well, landscape sustainability science is focused on regional landscape scale. Of course, global scale processes are very important. Local processes are very important. So you do need to consider the influences other, especially basic landscape. But there's a fundamental philosophical point I want to emphasize. That is that to achieve sustainability, what do we need to know? Of course, in economics, I think a lot of people promote globalization. Sounds like if you go against globalization, you are politically correct. But as a scientist, I think globalization has many consequences. Some of them are positive. A lot of them are very negative. Think about biological innovation. Think about the spread of diseases. Think about diversity, from biological diversity to cultural diversity. More to the point, I think landscape sustainability does not deny the value of globalization, but it does emphasize localization. Think about it. If Phoenix is a good example. Phoenix has been said to be one of the most unsustainable cities. But ironically, Phoenix is one of the 2 fastest growing cities in the United States. So where do we get our water? It's the Colorado River. Where do we get our food? Where do we get our vegetables? So we get a lot of things from other landscapes. I do not think that's a way, that's approach to sustainability. You see my point? So I'm not saying that we need to stop localization. No, I'm not saying that. But I do think localization has a place, has a value in sustainability, research, and practice.
We have one more question.
So when you're creating these systems, complex systems, how are you weighting different things? Like human well-being may be at odds with biodiversity at times. So do you weight one more heavily than the other?
That's a wonderful question. I'm not sure I'm going to be politically correct again. Let me see. First of all, I think landscapes are different. Some landscapes are habitats, primarily habitats for humans. Some are nature reserves. For example, by definition, nature reserves, a natural landscape should be preserved. And I think every decision should be made to maximize biodiversity and ecological integrity for those landscapes. Cities are landscapes. Cities, to me, are among the most important ecosystem types or landscape types or habitat types. But their primary function is to accommodate people. Am I wrong? So is biodiversity in urban environment important? Yes, of course. But do you want to have tigers in the backyard? I don't. So I think different landscapes have different priorities and primary functions that need to be considered. The second, I think there are a number of methods to weight, to integrate, to aggregate indicators. I think that's what you were asking. So there's a vast literature on sustainability assessment. So we have published several papers, and also there are quite a few wonderful review papers on sustainability assessment. How do you, for example, assign weighting factors to environmental, economic, social dimensions? How do you assign weights to different indicators within each of those 3 dimensions? There are different ways to do that.
Questions? Thank you so much. So now we're going to have a short break, coffee break, and we'll be right back at 4:30 for our last and interesting narrative topic. So.